So when we say a car is a 2 liter, it's a 1.2 liter, it's a 3 liter, what exactly does that mean? A lot of people think this has to do with petrol, like it's 2 liters of petrol, 1.2 liter of petrol, because we always use this term 2 liter petrol engine, but this number does not point to petrol. It doesn't tell us that it's not talking about petrol. This number is not talking about petrol. It's not talking about diesel. This number is talking about the volume of the cylinders in the car, the total volume of the cylinders in the car. This car is a 2 liter with 4 cylinders. It means that each cylinder has 0.5 milliliters, like this. It is like this. This bottle has a total volume of 500 ml. So if we multiply this by 4, because this is in a car with 4 cylinders, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, making up a total of 2. If it is a 3 liter, it means that this is going to slightly increase. Or let me say this is a 1 liter bottle. And if there are 4, we're going to have 4 liters. So your cylinder in a car, cylinder is where your air and the petrol mix together to spark, right? Remember, air is measured in liters, guys. Air is measured in liters. Air is measured in liters. I hope you get that. So this is going to be a mixture of air and petrol that is going to get inside this cylinder to ignite and spark and ignite and give us that, beautiful explosion that we want for the car to make power. So you are not going to use 2 liters of petrol at idle. No. So at idle, you are maybe going to use 30% or 20% of this 2 liters. At idle, let's say receipt, or maybe let's just say 10%. But how kata mahura, when you accelerate, you are going to fill this cylinder, 4 cylinders, with more air and more petrol to give, to keep on igniting, or to give it an even bigger spark. So one thing that I want to point out to you guys is this part. You see this table. When you see a car with a turbocharger, just be very excited, because it's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. This thing, I love it. Anyways, what this means, okay, just as a side note, almost every car, they'll always put this sticker. If you don't see any turbo, it tells you that the car is naturally aspirated. If you see a turbo, if you see a T, it means that your car is turbocharged. So your cars from outside, you find these 2 stickers. They'll tell you about fuel, and they'll tell you about the intake or the induction, which is turbocharged or non-turbocharged, which is TSI, turbo stratified injection, which means it's a direct injection engine, or Grand Tourer injection. They'll always point to you, or they'll always highlight the displacement or the total volume, how the air it is put inside, how the air is put inside the engine, and what type of petrol, how we're putting in the petrol. They always point out these things on the outside, the majority of the time. So what I'm trying to say is, a turbocharger usually takes air from outside. Let's say it takes 5 liters of air from outside. It compresses it into 1 liter, and then it throws it into the combustion. It throws it into this baby. Now, if this baby receives air that was compressed, when that air gets heated, it expands. So when it expands, it makes an even bigger explosion, because now it's looking for room to escape. So what can it do? It powers our engine. So now we're compressing air from outside, we're throwing it inside the engine so that it can explode inside and give us an even bigger explosion. What does that mean? It means that now we can actually use maybe a little less petrol and more air to get a bigger combustion or a bigger force. So this is why turbocharged cars are most of the time fuel efficient. It's because they're taking air outside, compressing it, and then throwing it into the engine. Once it gets into the engine, it has to decompress and expand, and then it gives us an even bigger explosion. The downside of that is that should you overboost, when your car overboost, it means that now we're receiving too much air. Your engine can explode. Your engine can explode to pieces, because this air that was compressed and thrown inside the engine, now your engine could not take it, and then it exploded. So a compressor and a turbocharger, they do the same. They compress air, but different ways. This is why I like compressors and turbochargers, because we get more power, more speed, and less fuel consumed. So, yes, this is just basically it. So at idle, you're not going to be using 2 liters of petrol. No, maybe at idle, 15% or 20% of the entire 2 liter. And how mahura, when you accelerate, now you're beginning to fill this car with more petrol and more air until a certain point, until it reaches its maximum. Then your car is not making more power. Sometimes at red line your car will go to. It means that now we don't have room to put in air and petrol. We're at max. Remember, the car has to ignite petrol and the air, release it, and then put in new air and petrol again. So it is going to do that like until it goes. You know that they're mixing it out. It's here, it's at the top. It doesn't have any more room to breathe. So this is what it basically means. I hope it makes sense that this 2 liter has not to do with petrol. This is not 2 liters of petrol. As much as we like to say a 2 liter petrol engine, this 2 liter points to the entire volume that the cylinders in your car can take.